This is a man's hat that is crocheted, or you can call it a beanie. Let's get into it now. This is what I will be using in today's tutorial. I have a chunky wool, a 5mm crochet hook, a stitch marker, a darning needle, and a scissors. So let's get started. To start, I'm going to make a slip stitch. And then I'll make my foundation chains. Starting with 1, I'm going to chain all the way up to 34 chains. I am done with my 34 chains. So I'll start on the first row and I'm going to make single crochet stitches. Skip the first chain and into the second, make a single crochet chain, a single crochet stitch. So I'm going to make these single crochet stitches all the way until I reach the 27th chain. So I'll meet you there and show you what to do to the remaining 7 chains. Here I've reached the 27th chain, so the remaining 7 chains I'm going to make a slip stitch. Starting with the first one, that slip stitch, then I'll put a stitch marker so that I don't forget where I started with my slip stitches. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I'm done with the first row of my slip stitches. Going to the second row. We're going to work from the back loop only. So slip stitch on the first, second, those are back loops only. This is the third slip stitch, fourth, fifth, sixth, and the seventh comes to the stitch marker. This is the 7th. Now continue with the single crochet stitches from there. 1, 2, 3, all the way to the end. Remember, we are working on back loops only. So work this way up to the end, then I'll meet you at the end and we work on the next row. We've come to the end of the row. Again, chain 1, then start working back loop single crochet stitches all the way through this row. So work back loop single crochet stitches up to where the slip stitches, where the stitch marker is for the slip stitches. That is the single crochet part. Yes, let's work. Now we've come to where the stitch marker is, where we start working our slip stitches. So remove the stitch marker and work a slip stitch. Return the stitch marker so that don't forget where we start the slip stitch. Continue working the slip stitches. And something to note, don't make them too tight because the crochet hook may be difficult to pass through, so make them a little bit loose, the slip stitches that is. So work to the end of our row, chain 1, turn our work, then again work the slip stitches, 1, 1, 2. You realize mine are a bit tight, so at some point it's like I'm struggling to insert the crochet hook, but we'll manage. So we've come to where the stitch marker is. Then we do our slip stitch, return our stitch marker, and then start working the single crochet stitches. Work this way to the end of the row. So working on the back loop will help us to have those ridges you'll see on the beanie or the hat. So now I've worked a couple of rows and you can see how it has come out. So I'm going to work up to row 54, then meet you. Here I am, I've done up to row 54 of my work. So I am going to join it together so that the beanie is complete. To join it, join the two sides together. Using my crochet hook, I am going to work on the back loop of each side and join them together with a slip stitch. Just follow what I'm doing, yeah, from this end and the other side, and you join them together using a slip stitch. Like that, from this side and the other end, join them together using a slip stitch. Let's continue like that, and we crochet a slip stitch from this end and the other side. There, crochet a slip stitch again. Continue like this. You see how it's coming out? Continue. Joining the two together, this side and the other end, and we make a slip stitch. Make a slip stitch, this side and the other end, and we make another slip stitch. So continue like this to the end of this row. There, I'm already done with creating slip stitches that are joining the two together, and you can see it comes out. You can't even tell where the beginning and the end is. Let's turn to the other side and see how it looks like, because it will be worn on the other side, this side. It's come out so well. You can't even tell. Now I'm going to work to close up this hole, and to close it up now I'll use my darning needle. Using a darning needle, pass it through the edges of this hat like that, yeah, and pull it through. Looks like mine is a little bit tight, but I'll find a way. So just pass it like that. Yeah, like that. We are going to pass this yarn through these edges to the end of this edge, then we'll pull it together tightly so that we close up this space. So just follow along with me using your needle. Pass it through the edges and pull through. It looks like mine is a little tight. Let's pull it, yeah, like that. Continue working here like that. Pull to the end of that hole or the circle that you see it looks round, so just work to the end. Yeah, there we are. So I've worked it to the end. Now pull it together tightly so that you can close that space or that hole. To close it, we're going to sew any space that you can see, sew it together, fasten it together so that there is no space left. Like that. You're going to fasten it until you're satisfied that the hole is completely closed. So just work it until the hole is fully closed and it's held securely. There, I'm done with mine, so I'm going to cut off the loose ends after fastening them off like that, and I'm done with my beanie. Or is it a man's hat? Yeah, let's turn it to the other side and see how it looks like. There it is. The man's hat is ready for wearing. There it is.